Oh, how to build a pub.
Buenas noches, and welcome to the Build a Pub podcast with me, Alex Ravenhall, the only person who created the Fibonacci sequence who isn't called Fibonacci. The Build a Pub podcast is a spin-off of my original series, Social Isolation. I invite guests onto the podcast to, as the name suggests, build their own pubs, from what they have on draft to what food they serve and what music they play, and hopefully get them to share with me some anecdotes and thoughts on the institution that is the public house. The aim is to be releasing these podcasts bi-weekly every Wednesday and Sunday for the foreseeable future. If you can't wait that long, you can also find all 11 episodes of Social Isolation on this very channel. Special thanks also to Sam Nason for the graphics and Jack Petham for the jingle. Today I have with me the fantastic Harry Evans, who is going to build a pub so welcoming that I might just move in and claim squatters' rights. Now, whilst alcoholic beverages will be mentioned in this podcast, we stop at glorification. We do not glorify alcohol here. No. You can go to the other glorifying alcohol podcasts for that type of content. They're out there. No, instead, I ask you to drink responsibly and just enjoy the conversation and stories we're going to tell. So, sit back or stand up if you're going for a run. Bob this in your pocket so you can listen and enjoy.
Oh, how to build a pub.
And we're in. Okay, I'm going to start by introducing my guest for today. This week's guest loves a good natter about a pub, so much that in preparation for this podcast, whenever we've been talking over the last few days, I've had to stop him mid-sentence on several occasions because we just can't stop harping on about the bloody pub. So we've been trying to save it all for today's recording, but on that note, when I think of a conversation about the boozer, this man comes to mind. So without further ado, with the last name that is opposite to an odd number, it's Harry Evans, or Evans, if you want to try and make the joke work better. Hello, Harry.
Hello, I'm worried you've made me sound a bit like an alcoholic there.
Well, I say in the opening we don't glorify alcohol. You just like the idea of the pub. You haven't touched a drink in your life, have you, Harry?
No, there's not one in my hand right now.
Yeah. I've actually got myself a little Budweiser in my hand, and I haven't opened it for the simple reason so I can go like this. Could you hear that or not?
Oh, I can hear that.
Yeah, that's the only reason that I got this drink. I don't even really like Budweiser that much, but it was better than the Carlsberg tin.
Does anybody really like Budweiser?
No, it's just one of those drinks that fills you up, really. It's a going out drink. What are you drinking?
I'm currently drinking. It's called Essential Pale Ale from Port City Brewing in Virginia, in the good old US of A.
Is Beer 52 American? Or is it
Beer
just that...
52 is, obviously you get a monthly crate of beer, and each month is themed, so all the beer comes from a different place each month. I can't for the life of me remember what last month's was, but this month is all Virginian.
I think last month's, because I had Eddie on, it was like tropical or like fruity...
Yes, it was all very fruity last month, actually. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, maybe Caribbean, I think.
Yeah, I think it was. But I didn't think I'd enjoy American IPAs as much as I am, but I'm loving this. It's very nice.
Is it quite smooth? Oh. Harry, what is the pub to you?
It's an interesting one, isn't it?
Yeah.
And like you say, we've already had this conversation many times. I'm not going to say home, because I do sound like an alcoholic, but it's very much a social hub. And we compared it to the church the other day.
Yeah.
Not for the sake of, again, glorifying alcohol or praising. We're not praising pubs.
Yeah.
But it's maybe the only equivalent we have left to a significant social gathering of all sorts of people. Say, if you go to a concert or if you go to the theatre, it's all people who are paid to be there who all clearly have a similar interest in whatever you're seeing.
Yeah.
Whereas the pub, everyone is there. It's a hot pot, is what it is. That's what I'll call it.
Yeah. It's interesting you say I don't say home, because when I thought of that question, that was the first thing that came to mind. That word was the first word that came to mind. And maybe there's a problem there with our approach to the pub. But it's...
It's a very interesting one, because again, I've said this to you in the past, it's not a thing of, you don't always go there to drink.
No.
You go there, in a way, it's a home away from home in the fact that it's the place you're the most relaxed outside of your own home. And at the minute, that's very much somewhere I would like to be, outside of my own home. But obviously, we can't.
It's that thing of like, I think for us two especially, we would have a shift at work, and then try to go to the bull, have a pint after work, distress after work.
Exactly. And there's something about, especially when we've had a busy shift at work, and we all feel horrific. And it is somewhere to slow down and switch off to a point.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, when you turn 18 and you start going out, you go out you get all dressed up, you go out, you put a nice shirt on, and you go and get as drunk as you can for as cheap as you can.
Yeah.
However, now, obviously, not that much past 18, but it's definitely a thing of, we go there for the opposite reason, if anything.
Yeah. It's to chill out, really.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I think what's weird about the pub, you wouldn't think it, and there is a place for coffee shops here, but it's the only kind of place you can go away from home to, like, just relax in quite a calm setting, like, unless you're doing an activity. Do you know what I mean? So if you're going to a football match, it's like, it's what you're saying about the theatre, you know, you're going to do something. If you go shopping, there's an act involved. In the pub, you can sit and have a conversation. It's a conversation hub, similar to a coffee shop.
It leads to anywhere in that respect, in that you can go to the pub for any reason and talk about anything when you're there. Like, people go to celebrate, people go when they're in mourning, people, like, it's a thing of, it's a background character in a conversation.
Yeah.
It can lead to anything else, sort of thing.
I think there is something in that, because I think the conversation you have in a pub are different as well. And I think it is what you're saying about the pub character and the atmosphere in the background that kind of just, it promotes conversation, if anything. And also, I hate to be an 87-year-old man, but it's somewhere that I don't go on my phone, personally. It's somewhere where I'm not constantly sat on my phone or doing other things. Even when I go out now, say if I go to a house party, there would be times where I would sit on my phone. But in a pub, because it feels semi-social, like you know how you said you dress up and you go out? Even when you don't, but you go to a pub, it feels like it's an event, so that there's more of a pressure to be sociable. But a good pressure, I think.
Absolutely, and it's funny you say that, because obviously we all know that it's rude to go on your phone in the middle of a conversation, but we all do it.
Yeah.
But when you're in the pub, I think it's it is an event, and you kind of want to savour that. I think especially for us, because we both go for that reason.
Mm.
Well, not pints are a bonus, but it's not about the drinking.
Yeah, no, it really isn't. I think for us especially, if anything, for me, drink hinders me, because I have 2 or 3 and I can't see straight. So. Well,
exactly. And any conversation that we plan on having is completely derailed by the fact that you can't speak.
It's true. Harry, you've recently gone through a bit of a drink renaissance, so you would only drink ciders. That's pretty fair to say, isn't it? It's a certain type of cider.
Exclusively cider until I was 19. Yes, it was last August or so, because I only ever drank apple ciders, and then obviously the fruity ones that you have with ice.
Mm-hmm.
Like a Republic or a Copperberg, although the Copperberg was full of sugar. And then in August of last year, maybe July, I can't remember, I went interrailing around Western Europe with a friend, and his whole thing was he was excited to try all the different beers.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to, at that point, I couldn't stand it. Mm-hmm. So I was, every bar we'd go in, I'd have the broken English discussion of, oh, hi, can I get a cider, please? And a lot of places in I didn't realise is it's not as common as you expect.
Yeah.
Whereas in every pub in the UK, every pub I've been to, there is always at least one cider on draft.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's an apple cider, it's a Thatcher's or a Strongbow, but if you want a fruit one, it's in a bottle. Whereas I think where we both live, we're quite lucky in the fact that a lot of the pubs have a recording on draft and an apple cider on draft.
Yeah.
But yes, that was August, and I came back from that trip kind of. I don't know. It was a thing of maybe I should. I think I got home and realised that I should have put the effort in while I was there
Mm-hmm.
to enjoy. Obviously, all these drinks that I'm not going to have at home, and so I kind of just. It's what everyone says is you force yourself to like it.
Yeah.
And I remember being in the pub with a friend and getting half a Moretti and a lemonade and enjoying it for maybe 5 or 6 sips and then instantly hated it again.
Mm.
But then I think within a week I was drinking it. I'll tell you what, it was the Corona that I started drinking. Because it's obviously the lightest beer you're going to have.
Mm-hmm.
Not a cider anyway. So that's how I managed to do quite a quick transition, I think. And then since then, I've drank exclusively.
Yeah.
And then recently, IPAs.
You might mention it when we get onto your pub, which we will do eventually. I don't want to know what your favourite beer is now, but I do want to know what was the nicest drink you had abroad that you haven't had before. If you did have anything, if you tried anything kind of out there.
I wouldn't say there's anything nice that I had. I remember being in Paris and we stopped at a little. I suppose it was a bar, probably more of a restaurant. On the night that we got there, after a horrible day of travel, I think we spent 24 hours traveling to Paris.
Really?
On trains and radio stations. Yeah, it was horrible. But we got there, went out for a drink. My friend got a beer and I asked for a cider. They came, brought his pint, and they brought me, those 1 glass bottles of wine that you would get in, say, a cinema or something?
Yes, yeah.
And they brought in, it said cider on the label, but they popped the cork and poured me a flute of cider.
Yeah.
And it was a weird mix of rosé wine and apple cider, and it was the most bizarre drink I think I had on that trip. It was just not at all what we expected when we asked for it.
Yeah.
And that's I think it was because we stopped. Paris was our final stop, so obviously I came home maybe 2 or 3 days after that, and that kind of stayed in my mind and forced me to change, I think.
Yeah. I think, unfortunately, I haven't been very much abroad, and when I have been, it was when I was a bit too young to really enjoy a drink. But when I went to Budapest, the only one I got was the cheapest. So I need to, when I'm abroad, I need to kind of get a bit more of an experience of the culture, of the drink culture as well. Did you find, you know how you're saying there weren't ciders available? Everyone talks about the British drinking culture as, not in a lot of countries is drinking such a part of, as we say, the community. And I preface drinking with the pub, because the pub is an institution in itself. So did you find there was a kind of a difference when you were travelling in the different countries you came to?
Travelling, we didn't necessarily stop and get twatted in any particular bar. We didn't stay long enough anywhere to have us a quiet night sort of thing, like we would at home.
Yeah.
Whereas when me and my friends have been to a place in Spain, the town of Dolores, where my dad has a little apartment. There's a disco bar thing. It's not a pub. It's got a dance floor. Mm-hmm. Very strange. Definitely, it's just a dive bar, really. And we've been there sort of 3 or 4 times now over the years, and I've definitely had a similar experience and atmosphere there than I have at home.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's down to the fact that obviously we were quite young, getting very drunk, and we made friends with the bar staff and Victor, the owner. So now when we go home, and we pestered him for songs on the DJ and all that.
Yeah.
So now every time we go back, it's the thing of like at home, it's a reunion with friends, and it's more social than it is drinking. But obviously, we're still drinking a lot.
Yeah.
So we're kind of a holiday in that regard, and kind of a social thing in the other.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Do you slightly off from what we've just said? Remember your first drink, and what I mean is your first drink legally in a bar. I'm not saying you went illegally or anything, but I mean like your first proper drink when you walked in and you like got. Is that quite a big memory for you, or do you not remember?
I don't remember precisely, purely because I turned 18 2 days after I left college, so I'd been in the pub the previous days.
Yeah.
Drinking.
Mm-hmm.
And to be fair, in that regard, ordering my own drinks, which I shouldn't have been doing, obviously, but. And I think it was at that stage where my first drink, I can't remember ordering it. It will have been, depending on which pub I was in, either a strawberry lime Cordilig or just a standard Strongbow original.
Yeah.
And looking back on it, it's not sad. It's an opportunity wasted, I think, because we've discussed it, that drinking's quite a big deal in our lives, sort of going to the pub and all this.
Yeah.
And I do sort of take pride in what I drink now, and it's something I like to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So looking back on it, it's not very interesting, is it? It's a very standard answer and very boring, really.
I actually can't remember the drink that I had, but I do remember the moment because like it was on my birthday, so like I remember the act of going up, buying me and my dad a drink, and like having a drink, but I don't remember what the drink was. I mean, probably a Carling, knowing me. It's the go-to. But yeah, I don't know. Like, is that a big thing for people? Is that like something, one of those moments in life, or is it just something that passes people by? Do people care that much?
If I was about to turn 18 tomorrow, I would care a lot.
Yes, yeah.
Right, at the time, obviously, at the time when I turned 18, it was in the middle of all of my leaving school, going to the pub with my entire year group sort of thing.
Yeah.
Having fancy dinners, as we did at our sixth form. But that didn't... no, it didn't really cross my mind at the time.
Yeah. And I also think that goes back to what we were saying about how at the kind of edge of 18, there is just such a wanting to get horrifically drunk and not go to a pub. I know for me personally, it was like every time I got invited to a party or every time we went out clubbing, it was about keeping up appearances, and it was cool to be drunk, not to go to a pub and have a chat.
Sport.
Yes.
That's what I'd say it was. It was a sport of, look at us all, we've all got this new thing, I can do it best. Because you look back at house parties, and obviously you live away from where we've grown up, so you obviously have more than me, but I look back on them because I don't go anymore, because I'm old. And it was a thing of every party you went to, no matter who was there, different people every time. I'm not going to say there was characters, but there's definitely things there's reoccurring themes.
Yeah.
Of different types of people trying to get as drunk as possible, or being the funny one, or the one that falls asleep.
Yeah.
And I say that because at my first house party when I was about 16, I fell asleep after 2 cans of Strongbow. Mm-hmm. Which my friends haven't let me live down.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. I look back at me then, and it was such a falsehood to what I actually am. It was like I was trying so hard, because it was, so you drink, so I remember my sister saying that one time someone fell down the stairs, and literally almost trying to recreate those moments. And so you look back and
it's a thing of, and it's also part of being young in our culture, is that there's always a drama and there's always gossip. And at a party, to a point, apart from who's kissing who and who's behind the shed,
yeah,
and who are the cool kids off stealing dad's cigarettes and all that, it's a thing of, maybe it's it's not about getting noticed, but it's about being the one that people talk about
Yes.
to a point.
If you're not
And
naturally
sadly,
popular, it's like a going up a ladder in Snakes and Ladders to try and make it to the top. If you're the funny drunk one, you're straight up there. People are talking about you.
Exactly.
You're wanted.
Exactly. And it probably could be a whole conversation in itself. It's a popularity culture. It's a societal thing in schools of the popular kids and the unpopular kids. And if you can drink more, you're probably cooler.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
And that's the danger of binge drinking as well, because like who can outdo the others? It's about quantity. It's just a mass alone, and that's when you get quite seriously ill.
Especially when during the football and the rugby and just about any sporting sort of World Cup or tournament that you go to the pub to watch, a lot of lads are all there saying, well, I'm going to have the most pints during this match.
Yeah.
And that's when glasses get thrown and people take the piss after a match.
Mm-hmm. There is a horrific link between sport and drinking culture. Going at uni, I think I've talked to you about this in the full before. I won't get into full details, but the worst night of my life, I in terms of drinking, was when I had my initiations for a football thing or whatever, and it was just it might come back to this how we perform for people, but the peer pressure, I've never felt anything like it in my life. I remember going with my friend and saying, we don't have to do anything we don't want to. Like, we're in control. And the moment I was in that room, I was surrounded by 17, 18, lads who were a lot older than me, who I didn't know, and I just felt I had to do everything they said. And it was an awful night.
I'd be very interested to know these sorts of hazing, toxic masculinity sporting groups.
Yeah.
I'm very interested to know that if in the equivalent women's team, they have similar exercises.
Yeah.
Like, recently, you'll know more about this than I do, but a famous footballer who would, obviously we're all on lockdown, he'd been preaching about lockdown, but then ended up crashing his car after being drinking.
Yes.
I'd be interested to know if there's a culture of that on the Lionesses team.
Yeah. I think, from what I've heard from uni, I have heard stories of hazing. I've not heard as many as severe, but I don't know. I think as well, it's like a newer culture in the sense that I know female sports are going on a long time, but it's now coming more into the main foray of like television and things. 10, 20 years ago, you wouldn't see the Lionesses on TV. So there is a huge push into the sports world, and I think it can go one of two ways. You can celebrate it, freedom away from what's been before, like the male kind of, as you say, the alpha maleness of it and the toxicness of it, or to try and assimilate, you can copy. So I think it can sway both ways. From what I know, I think it's very hit and miss. Because I know a bit about the hazing that's happened for lads. Some horrible stories. I also know some horrible stories for girls as well.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering if maybe, as in the rest of our lives, women have got their heads screwed on a bit more than we do.
Yeah. I think, from what I've heard, I have heard stories both sides. But I have heard more predominantly male ones. But that might be because I'm also associated with male teams. But yeah, I think it happens, but not as regularly. But that's only from my own personal knowledge. I don't know the ins and outs of it, really. But yeah, it's peer pressure is a funny thing. And that's why I like the pub.
It's obviously, competition in sport is also one of those things.
Yeah.
But yes, we're not here to talk about sports.
No, we're here for Harry to build his pub. After 25 minutes of conversation, we're going to start with the podcast. I'm not gonna lie, I really enjoyed that. So I think it's about the pub anyway. So I think it's worthy conversation.
It's a very interesting conversation to have, and like I say, it could be a whole other conversation.
Yeah. But instead, it's time for you, Harry, to build your dream pub. Now, before you start, you're obviously pitching to someone, like how else would you get the money to build your dream pub? However, that person is me, but unfortunately, I was doing some yoga, and I was getting into the trapezius Maximus, which is a yoga position, and I accidentally banged my head off a door.
I've heard of that one. I think I've
It's
heard of that.
it's a good one. It's one of my favourite yoga positions. But I banged my head, and I've got short-term memory loss. I have no idea who I am. So Harry, who are you pitching to?
I've alluded to it already. I have quite an interest in theatre, but especially theatre, the business of theatre, and the money and admin side of it. So I think Cameron McIntosh, potentially Sir Cameron McIntosh at this point, is who I would like to pitch to.
Well, good thing I'm he. So this worked out very well for you. What's his big claims to fame?
Cameron McIntosh, he must be about 75 now.
Yeah.
But at the end of the 20th century, he sort of brought Les Mis to the stage in the UK and Miss Saigon, I think. And then more recently, it's his company that brought over Hamilton from the States. And
Oh, really?
Hansen has just opened. So those tours and those shows are all his company.
So pretty fucking huge.
Yeah, I had a quick Google of him earlier, and I think he's on about £1.2 billion.
Okay, yeah, bigger than I thought. Even there, my God. Okay, fair play, Cameron. Good thing I'm he, because I've got a bear dollar to throw your way. I'm going to start with the most important question. I hope you appreciate that. I'm straight down to business. I'm Cameron fucking McIntosh. I don't mess around. And my question to you is, what is the name of your pub? It's the most important thing. What a punter's going to come to your pub and what they're going to say. What's going to attract them to the pub? What is your pub's name, Harry?
The Lemon and Lime.
I like it. I really do.
The Lemon and Lime, and I'll tell you for why. It sprung from an idea where me and my friend used to go. There's a pub that we both frequent called the George and Dragon.
Yes.
We're next face to a pub that nobody goes to called the Union. And me and my friend had this bizarre idea of if we were to somehow take over both of those places and have them under one, they share a room, sort of managed by, under the same management, we'd have one entirely green themed and one entirely yellow themed called the Lemon and the Lime.
Yeah.
Well, looking back on that idea, that's horrific. No one wants to go to a yellow pub, let alone a green pub.
Yeah.
But the name, I think, is catchy, and as all pubs, like the George and Dragon, and most of the pubs, none that come to mind now, have an "and" in the name.
Yeah.
It's got to be two things. It's as like we said, it's a meeting place.
Yeah. Oh.
Two things.
I like that a lot. So it's like you and something. Mate, I'm gonna steal that. I'm gonna pretend I made that up when other people do "and" titles. So watch out for the other podcast, because I'm just gonna completely steal that from you.
I don't blame you. It's fucking good.
Two things there. Firstly, mine isn't an "and"; it's the Ravens Gamble. But I think as long as you have two words, I think it works.
The Raven Gamble. That's very nice.
Yeah. Do you know why? Well, Alex Ravenhall and Ed Gamble. I absolutely love him. I think he's hilarious. So I merge my two loves of myself and comedy.
And you say comedy, you mean a specific man, but that's okay.
Yeah.
My favourite thing about Ed Gamble, and it's very bizarre, it's the first thing I thought of when he said it, is that he's diabetic.
Yes.
But just sort of openly and gets on with it, and it's people like him, and is it Rosie McDonald, who's a comedian with...
I know the name.
Potentially cerebral palsy or something?
Oh, I think, yeah, hang on. I will...
She's called Rosie something, I think.
Yeah, I think I know exactly who you mean. Yeah, I know the comedian, yeah. Carry on.
And things like that where it's like, well, people that can get on with, people who have far bigger issues than you and I, they can get on and do better than us.
Yeah, Lost Voice Man.
Yeah, of course.
Absolute. So I can't find it right now. But yes, no, I agree. I think they really just get on with shit. My other point was that I love the idea that not only is the Lime pub completely green themed, it's based on sourness. So I just can't see you going in and having like a really fun, jovial experience when literally the name of the fucking place is sour.
Everybody there is bitter. Twisted. Nobody's happy to be there.
It's a pub for like people coming off work. only people coming off work who are just fuming.
People who've had a shit day.
Yeah, if they have a good day, they go to the lemon. If they have a bad day, they go to the lime.
Exactly.
Superb starting answer. So Cameron, Cameron has seen your pub. It's not two different ones that are green and yellow. It's just the pub called the Lemon and the Lime.
Yeah,
And
it's not yellow nor green.
He walks in and he goes, right, first thing I need is a drink. I've just got the rights for the next big hit musical, and I just need a drink. It's been a long day. And he goes up to the bar, and in front of him is 4 drinks on draft. 2 beers, 2 ciders. What has Cameron got to pick from?
Cameron has gotten to pick from, and I'm going to go purely off my favourites.
Yeah.
Because I could have gone for a cheap and a Premier, but no. I think the options will be a nice cold pint of Bimmeray.
Yeah.
Which is always my drink of choice.
Mm-hmm.
And the other beer would probably be... You see, that's a difficult one. That's a difficult one. I think I'd go for a Punk IPA by Brewdog, just on the IPA topic.
Yeah.
That's what I'm into it. I think that's what I'd put.
For me, they're very good answers, but I have my is an IPA just because I don't know why they taste like raisins. I can't help it. I wish I liked IPAs. I think they're really cool. I think I'd be a lot cooler if I drank them, but I just can't do it. They taste of raisins.
That's the entire reason I drink them, just so people think I'm cool.
And just so I'll get upset when I'm with you by thinking that they taste of raisins. Lovely. And your ciders.
Right,
I'm going to make a guess for one of them, but I'm not going to tell you what it is.
Actually, because it's the Stella Artois Cidre. Is it then they call it Cidre? Isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Ooh.
That's the nicest cider I've ever had.
It is not sold very often, is it?
No, not at all. The first place I found it was Alton Towers.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I had it at the end of the day, don't worry, I didn't...
Yeah, you weren't drinking and driving, or roller coastering.
Or rolling. And that was and I do love a good Stella glass. A good wide goblet sort of thing. And the other would be probably a fruity one. Potentially an old moot cider. So it was a blackberry and something else that I used to really enjoy. I think I'd go for that.
I really thought you were going to go for a Cardi Apple.
Well, that was my original choice, but as soon as you said Cidre, you've steered me.
Really?
Yeah, it made me gamble.
Yeah. And
The Ravens gamble.
thank God you didn't say another drink, which is, of course, Strongbow Dark Fruits. Well done.
Disgusting.
Because, to be fair, no one actually likes it who's done the podcast, but they put it on to get punters in, because they know that there is definitely a market for it.
Strongbow Dark Fruit is an outstanding drink for one thing. And it's if you are horribly hungover from a night of drinking and you've got to start drinking again the next day, Strongbow Dark Fruit is the best place to start. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually agree with that. That's a good way of putting it. Lovely. But I'm really sorry. Cameron actually isn't a massive fan of pints. He's actually more of a wine man. And unluckily, you've run out of all your wines, apart from your two main ones, your red and your white, but only one of each. So what are the options you got to give to Cameron?
It's one of those things. It's a nightmare for Cameron, and I do feel sorry for the man. But luckily for me, I can only name one white and one red wine. As I'm not a wine drinker, I don't think I ever will be. I'm not. I was having this conversation yesterday with a friend that there's something about sharing a bottle of wine that is very desirable and sophisticated to a point.
Yeah.
I was saying I would like to be able to go for a meal and share a bottle of wine with the table.
Yeah.
I'm thoroughly incapable of that. So
I'm similar. I would love to go for a night with just one mate, just two of us, and share a bottle of wine. But I can't do it. I can't fathom it.
I would love to, but not a chance. Disgusting. So what I would have, I think, is a Pinot Grigio, which is a white, I believe, and a Cabernet Sauvignon.
Cab Sav.
which is a rum. Cab Sav.
Love it.
I only know it as we sell it at work.
Yeah.
So you know.
We actually sell 2 whites and 2 reds, so...
I'd just like to point out that I don't work behind the bar.
No, he doesn't. He's the big man up front. Lovely, though. I think Cameron, he's going to go... I think he's a Pinot man. I think...
Really?
Especially after a successful day, he just wants a little bit of Pinot. He's just signed a new deal, and one of his mates, Lin-Manuel Miranda's, just popped in just for a catch-up. And Lynn's like, hiya, Cameron. He's like, hey, all right, mate, you go and grab a seat, I'll get you a drink. And Lynn goes, yes, please, any spirit will do. And so he turns to you and he goes, well, Harry, what 3 spirits do you have on offer? With this one, you can be like specific, so it can be certain types of gin, or it can just be like gin, vodka, and rum. Like, it's up to you how specific you want to be.
Yeah. I think I know specifically. I'd go for a standard Gordon's gin.
Yeah.
Which one that I would have myself. I mean, all gin does taste the same to me, I'm afraid.
Yeah, same.
I know that Gordon's is the most popular, so we'll go for that. And this is going to sound very bizarre, and I've never really understood it, but it's the same as a gin. You can have a clear vodka, like a flavourless vodka in it, and it'll taste different from brand to brand.
Yeah, that is true.
The nicest vodka I've actually ever had is Grey Goose, but I don't know why I had it. I don't know why I drank it straight and know that it's nicer than the others, but I know that I've enjoyed it in the past.
So you'll go for the Grey Goose?
I'd go for the Grey Goose. It's also got a cork, which you don't see a lot of vodkas, which is very nice.
Yeah, I think it's quite the sophisticated vodka. I'm not a massive expert.
I think it's the frosted bottle that draws me to it.
That's true.
It looks very fancy.
Yeah, like Absolute. Absolute's got a similar bottle, I think.
Yes.
Similar kind of like frosted white.
It's most rum. Probably at Captain Morgan's, as it's not a drink I have often, but it's a winter drink, isn't it? Rum.
Yeah.
Dark rum and Coke.
A nice spiced rum over Christmas. That's a good drink.
That'll hit the spot.
Lynn's gonna go for some of that Grey Goose because it's very, very fancy indeed. But
Well, yeah.
just as Cameron's about to order the drinks, he notices a sign like just on the wall to the side, and he looks over, and on this huge poster is the lemon and lime signature cocktail, and it's got little explosions. It's got like a little umbrella, an olive.
It's got a thing saying "pow."
Yeah. It's like it looks proper sick. What is it?
It's a good poster for a good drink.
Yeah, I bet it's good. Go on.
Oh, it is. When I came into this, and I thought of a cocktail that I like, the only one that I can remember really that sticks in my mind is a zombie. Have you had a zombie before?
Yes, I have. I've had it once, and I quite enjoyed it.
I couldn't tell you what's inside it. I know it's strong, and I know that it comes on fire.
Yes.
And that would be is a flaming drink, because I find that very exciting.
It is exciting. It's also like £8 more.
Well, yeah, exactly, and that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
So I'll go for something with a burning fruit on the top.
Mm-hmm.
And I think now that it's lemon and lime, we've got to go along those lines, haven't we?
Yeah.
So maybe it's a mojito that's got a bit of... Is it made with rum? A mojito, I think?
I'm shite with cocktails. I mean, I asked the questions, I can't answer them.
I think it's made with rum, and it's got a lot of lime in it. So I think I'd go for a very nice flaming mojito, which would... Maybe it's... You know what? It's lime flavoured. It tastes like lime when you drink it.
Yeah.
It's got lime zest. But the flaming fruit on top of it is a lemon.
Ah, of course. And then they're like, oh, I'm having a lemon drink. No, you're not. It's actually lime. And that's why we're all here. I love it. And also, you can charge top dollar for that. And that brings me on to my next question. What is the most expensive drink you've ever had or bought? I'm quite lucky. I've never bought myself a drink over £6. A single drink over £6. We've had 21 £21 is to beat, by the way. £21 is what's to beat. Sorry.
£21.
£21 is the most expensive we've had so far.
I don't think I can beat that.
No.
What was that?
Oh, it might have been. No, it was. I think it was £22. It was. It was a cocktail. It was the cheapest cocktail was £23. It was from Holly's podcast. That's the most expensive drink we've had so far.
What a surprise. I think I'd go for. I struggle because I think I've probably had expensive cocktails.
Yeah.
And there's a cocktail, I can't remember how expensive it is. I know that I've enjoyed it in the past, but I won't be too drunk to know what I've been paying.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cocktail called Gold on the Ceiling.
Oh, I love the name.
Which is a fantastic name, and it already sounds expensive.
Yeah.
But I think the most expensive drink I was ever going to buy but never did, I went to a bar in York. It was a cocktail bar.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd seen they had a big, like the lemon and lime pow poster.
Yeah.
A big poster up for this drink, which was, I think, quite significantly expensive and very strong was what they were pushing.
Yeah.
And I remember going to the bar and asking for that and said, I'm afraid we don't sell it anymore because it's so strong. We've stopped stocking one of the ingredients.
Wow.
And this lovely lady who obviously knew I'd been there drinking all day for my birthday and I'd been drinking since 10 o'clock in the morning. She obviously knew that and said, well, I'll give you a shot of the absinthe that we put in it. And after a day of heavy drinking in the sun, a shot of absinthe isn't what you need.
No, it's the wrong idea.
And I didn't pay for the cocktail in the end, but I did end up paying for it.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, lass. But hey, good birthday in York.
Outstanding.
That brings me on very nice to my next question. So, Cameron and Lynn have just been sat there, they're having a lovely time, and they call you over and they're going, this is all going very well, you're doing very well, you don't need to worry, don't stress out, it's like everything's going to plan at the minute. But what I need to know is, I'm sat here in the Lemon Lime and I just don't know what the vibe is. And for me to know what the vibe is, I need to know about you personally, you're setting the vibe. So Harry, what is your best pub experience? Because that's what, this bar is going to have to replicate.
I struggled for this one, as there was only one answer that ever could be, I think, but it's relatively recent, so I kind of worry that I maybe never had fun until recently.
Yeah.
But, over Christmas, on Christmas Eve, I go out with my mum, my sister, and our friend.
Yeah.
We all go for a nice meal and get very drunk on Christmas Eve. And after our meal, before our meal, I'd been drinking all day because I had to go see my father when I came home. So after our meal, we went back to the George, which is where I spend most of my time, I'll have to admit. And we were very drunk, and they had a DJ on. But it was relatively quiet, and as you'll know, I'm friendly with the bar staff.
Yeah.
And so me and my mum, I think the reason I enjoyed it so much is because it was my family, which is very much what we talked about the pub as being so
homely,
inclusive of his family and social interaction.
Yeah.
And Christmas, everyone's having a nice time regardless. So I think that it was the four of us on the dance floor, DJ and the bar, between the DJ and the bar, and we just had a lovely, lovely time. Getting very drunk and dancing and singing. And that's what it's all about, is just sort of enjoying people's company.
Yeah, I think that's a massive thing.
And I think if that had been people our age, there'd have been a lot of phones out and there'd been a lot of filming things.
Taking pictures when pictures don't need to be taken. That's a big pet peeve of mine.
That pub memory is one of my best memories, and I think there's maybe 4 photos from that.
Yeah.
That's all it needs to be.
Because the moment you take a photo of it, you're not remembering the memory, you're remembering the photo being taken, I think, personally.
Exactly.
I think there's a place for photos, but if you're having a good time, don't capture
Don't stop to take a photo.
Yeah, you lose the momentum. I agree with you there. Lovely. you go away for a little bit, and then about an hour later, you hear, oh, and Lynn's getting a bit fruity now. He's getting a bit drunk, and he's got some recordings to do tomorrow. And so Cameron calls you over again, and he goes, "Can I have the food menu?" You give him it. On it is 3 set meals. Now, what you might not know is Cameron McIntosh in the 80s was going to develop a musical called Trapped in Time, and it was about a dad who basically loses his son in New York, a bit like Home Alone, and he has to go in a time machine and go back and retrace his son's steps. Now, what you might not realise is the musical bombed, and that was mostly because they actually bought a real time machine. And, if you put that much money into that, you're never going to make your returns back. But Cameron did keep the time machine. And he said that for your set meal, you can use the time machine to go back to any meal you've ever had in your life. It can be specific meals from specific pubs. This will also carry on to the last question I asked you about the people you'd like to have a drink with. So you are basically, don't be cut off by cost or time. You can have any 3 meals you want.
Well, very interesting, because I think I know the food I would like. The 3 meals that stand out for me as pub food.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't. Maybe I only know 2. Can I have a side? I've got 3 and a side.
If I like the 3, I'll give you the side.
There we go. They're not even specifically linked to memories, per se, but it's just things that I think I've had in the past that I've enjoyed a lot in the pub.
Yeah.
The first one that came to mind was always a bog standard fish and chips.
Yeah, gotta be.
It's got to be a fish and chips. Followed by, I think a beef and a steak and ale pie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's my mum's favourite, that.
In a very crispy, crunchy crust.
Yep.
I like my pie. A lot of gravy.
Yeah, a lot of gravy.
And finally, I'd be interested to know if anyone else has said it, is a Parmo.
We have had a Parmo, indeed.
I thought you probably would have.
I also said a Parmo. I said specifically the Crown's Parmo. I went for specific pubs for mine. When I did it back ages ago, I went for a Crown's Parmo. Absolute delight.
The Parmo in the Crown is one of the nicest things I've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something about... And Parmos are interesting because you can have a restaurant Parmo where they're all very fancy and expensive.
Yeah.
For some cheese and chicken. Or you have a pub Parmo like that one, or like the Fox Colour.
Oh,
where they're just the nicest things you're ever going to eat.
Do you want to know something?
Probably the last thing you're ever going to eat.
I will tell you what, I'm going to give you the side for the simple reason that not only have you said a Parmo, you've also mentioned the Fox Cover, and 2 of my meals are a Crown Parmo and a Fox Cover club sandwich. So the fact that you know your pubs, you're picking good pubs, I'm going to give you your side. What's your side?
My side, and because it is the perfect pub food, is the biggest tray of cheesy, jalapeno-covered nachos.
Yes. Yeah.
That's exactly what you want.
I thought you were going to go for chips, and I was like, that's a bit of a waste of a side. But no, I think nachos is a strong choice.
I could murder some nachos right now.
This very second. You can't get them takeaway either. You can't get takeaway nachos.
It's one of those things. They're easy to make at home, but they're not as nice as restaurant bar. I think.
No, they're not. They never are. You can never re-get that greatness. I agree with you. Superb answer. Lynn's gone for a good Parmo, and he's sobered up and he's fine. Now, Cameron McIntosh knows his musicals, and he's just sitting there and he just gets lost in a moment. And he turns to you and he goes, hey, what's this song? And you know, obviously, that you have a jukebox, but it's a very new jukebox, so you've only actually got onto it 1 album. But you're so confident with how good this album is, you're not going to put anything else on there. So, what is the song, and what is the album that the song is on?
They are of the same name.
Yeah.
Everything You've Come to Expect by a band called The Last Shadow Puppets.
Ooh.
The Last Shadow Puppets are a band comprised of Alex Turner of the Arctic Monkeys.
Yep.
And Miles Kane, who was a singer of a band similar to the Arctic Monkeys years ago and is now a solo artist.
Mm-hmm.
And everything you can expect is about 15 tracks long, and it's very slow, potentially 60s to a point guitar music. There's a song called Sweet Dreams Tennessee, it's called, where Alex Turner is his best Elvis impression, and it's a perfect background album to drink to.
Yeah.
Because it'll get to the point where you'll start swaying, and it's good in the background, but it's good to listen to as well.
Yeah. No one said Elvis, and I think you make a good point on the kind of like swinging kind of 60s music, because you don't want an album that's quite abrasive and in your face, because it'll just get away from them. You need something that it's nice and easy, but it adds to the experience. I think from what I don't know the album, but from what you've described, it sounds absolutely perfect.
Yes, and something I also thought of was something like Ultimate Sinatra or a crooner sort of thing, where, because obviously in a pub you're in the middle of a conversation most of the time.
Yeah.
But if My Way by Frank Sinatra comes on, everybody in the pub will stop speaking and sing along to that song.
That's like You're Simply the Best. I can't remember who sings it, but I was in Osborne's, I think with you, and
Probably.
there is an advert that I think is only broadcast in the North. It might not be. It might be quite well known, but and the advert uses that song. Sorry?
Is it an LV advert?
No, it's an advert for South Cleveland garages.
Oh, well, I assume it will only be in the North then.
Yeah, I know, but so we were in the pub and this song came on and it went, "You're simply the best," and everyone in that pub, 50 or 60 people, all screaming top of their lungs, "South Cleveland garages," and that was like a single snapshot highlight of my pub experience. Just that moment where everyone came together to sing that same song. It was absolutely brilliant.
There's a lot that, and something like Wonderwall, that'll stop a group of people speaking.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you want.
Yeah, you
can have it in the background, but if you want to, you can.
Yeah, it's about that balance. I think absolutely stellar answer. Well done. Cameron's having a lovely evening. It's getting a bit later on now, and he calls you over again, and he goes, "I'm not going to lie to you, Harry. You just seem too good to be true, and I don't believe it. It's bullshit, you know. You're doing all the right things. So I need you to degrade your own character, right? I need you to tell me your most embarrassing story from a pub, because otherwise, how can I know that you're a human? You just seem too bloody good."
Down to earth.
Yeah, exactly.
Again, one. I say not spring to mind. There's a few. But on the note of the absinthe from earlier,
Yeah.
and it's horrible. I mean, it wasn't horrible for me because I managed to avoid disaster.
Yeah.
Only just. But that absinthe didn't sit well with me at all in this pub in York. And you've been to York, you know it's a very old town. City.
Yeah.
Is it a city? City.
York Town, I think. I think it's a town.
I said it was a city.
I'll check now, but carry on.
A lot of the original buildings are very small and tall. So in this bar, I saw a sign that toilets were upstairs, and I knew that I was going to have a disaster if I didn't get to a toilet soon.
Yeah.
Like, that was coming back up my throat at a rate of knots.
Yeah.
So I ran up these stairs, and through the first open door that I saw, to what I assumed to be the toilets.
Yeah.
Turns out, and at this point, as you may have done if you've run to the toilet to be sick before, when you think you are walking into the toilet, sometimes it'll get into your mouth so that you can just get to the toilet straight away.
Yeah.
I walked through this door, realised it was another room of seating in the pub.
Oh my god.
Luckily, managed to stop myself, but I had fully lunged into this room where there was a group of maybe 5 girls sat drinking. I lunged into this room thinking I was in the toilet, cheeks bulging, looked around, turned around and scarpered off again up the stairs, and had to run up another flight of horrible old-fashioned steep stairs. So luckily I didn't embarrass myself in front of any of my friends, anyone that can hold that against
Just complete strangers.
Just complete strangers who I'm pretty sure I terrified that day.
Yeah.
A very drunk man lunging at them with cheeks full of absinthe-related bile.
I like it. I like it a
Before
lot.
turning the spot and disappearing, never to be seen again.
Because I think there's a safety in friends as well. Because although like they can rip you for it, they're your mates. They're not going to judge you. But jumping into a room full of strangers like that's pretty embarrassing. I'll give you that. That's a good breaking down of character. I like it a lot. Well done.
Thank you.
What
was yours?
I have lots. I spread mine out. The one I've told most recently that you will know is when I accidentally destroyed the blood vessels in my face by vacuuming a cup to it and starving of oxygen, and then having to go to work the next day when I was behind a bar with really bright lights and I had a massive purple Thanos chin, which was...
Honestly, those photos and seeing you at work the next day with that chin is maybe one of the funniest things I've ever seen. It's disgusting.
It wasn't my finest moment, I wouldn't have said.
No.
There was also a time I think I ate a leaf when I was coming home, and I didn't remember it, but apparently that happens. That's another one that I got ripped for. There are a lot. If you listen back, I flitter them in so I don't seem so bad. But if you actually put one next to the other, it builds up quite badly.
Oh.
Harry.
Hello.
Lynn, Cameron having a lovely time, but they suddenly get the urge to do something. They want to do a game / or an activity, and in your pub you only have one game / or activity. What is it?
It's a pool table.
Yes.
Because any good pub has a pool table, and there's only one pub in Yarm where we both live that has a pool table. Sorry.
Yeah.
And it's not the best pub in the high street. However, that pool table gets it some points.
Yeah.
And again, on the note of socialising and conversation and all those things, the conversations around the pool table are also fantastic because it is something you are all partaking in.
Yeah.
But it's surrounded by walls of other conversation.
The breakthroughs I've had with my inner psyche around a pool table cannot be second guessed. It is very, very important.
It's perfect for people like us who aren't very good at other sports.
Yeah.
Who aren't very good at the athletic part of sports.
Mm-hmm.
Something that I can play with a pint in my hand. Perfect.
Yeah, that and darts, but best two sports ever made because you can play it with a pint in your hand.
Absolutely.
I mean, to be fair, you could probably play cricket with a pint in your hand as well, depending how seriously you were taking it. If you just stood around, you could have a couple of pints.
The people that watch cricket get very drunk.
Yes, they do.
I didn't know this until recently. Maybe the World Cup last year. People in those crowds get very rowdy.
It's a really good day out. You go and you get absolutely bladdered, and then you just like, because at the end of the day they're all quite self-aware, which is nice. Like when you go to cricket, you know it's shit. So whenever anything happens, you just lose it. So whenever it rolls out for a four, you just go absolutely apeshit. It looks like a lot of fun. I'd love to go.
I think people go part ironically.
Yes, I agree. I think the really boozy ones just go ironically, and then you'll get some people who sat there really seriously. But most people just have a good time.
Brilliant.
You're doing very well, if I may say so myself, and I am Cameron McIntosh, so I can say that. But unluckily, Michael Ball has been late to proceedings. He's come to meet the guys for a little drink, and Michael is about to come into your pub, and he notices outside the pub your blackboard. And on the blackboard is a funny message. Now, this message on the blackboard is going to dictate whether Michael Ball comes and joins his mates. So if it's a good one, he'll come in, he'll join Cameron. Cameron will realise it's a good pub. He might give you the money. If he doesn't come in, Cameron will be like, oh, my mate's seen this place and ran. It must be shit. So, what is your blackboard message?
These blackboards, you see them online at all times. Someone's put a funny message on, and they're always very funny. But in real life, you rarely see them.
Yeah, that's true.
However, I think that if you're going to do a funny one, you've got to do a funny one.
Yeah.
And I did Google them. I found the best ones. I've decided which one I'd have. I'll admit it's stolen.
Yeah.
But it played my interest in theatre and poetry, which Michael Ball will also share.
Fingers crossed.
I'm not saying that me and Michael Ball are similar, however. So what I would say is, if you're looking for the pub, I'd tell look out for the sign that says roses are red, violets are blue, poems are hard, beer.
God damn it, I knew it was coming. And I still laughed. It shows it works. Oh, I don't know what it is about something not rhyming that makes me really laugh. There was a Horrible History sketch I really remember, where the whole thing was done in rhyme. And then at the end he went, I spent all this time thinking of words that sound quite similar to one another. And that tickles me. Michael Ball is in. He has come down. He has sat with the guys. Cameron has stood up and he's gone, you've got my money. Congratulations, Harry, you've done it. And as a signing on bonus, he's going to let you use that time machine if you need it and all of his very considerable resources to have a pint with 5 people. It can be anyone from any time, from anywhere, dead or alive. You have got the capability of having your dream pub night. So, Harry, who are your 5 people?
Well, I've gone for 5 people that are actually all alive, is what I've done.
Yeah?
And 2 of them are rather similar and would have a similar interest.
Mm-hmm.
One of them I find utterly fantastic and could watch forever and just observe. And the other 2 are just 2 people who, well, I'll tell you. So, Stephen Fry is the first one.
Lovely.
Because I think Stephen Fry is potentially one of the smartest men on TV.
Mm-hmm.
He's witty. He's funny. As evidenced by his sketches and all the comedy that he's done.
Yeah.
Well, what he's most well known for, I think, amongst our generation especially, is things like QI and being remarkably clever.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd go for him purely because I feel I'd only ever be enlightened by him.
Yeah.
And to a similar degree, Andrew Scott, the actor.
Yeah.
Who played Moriarty in Sherlock.
Mm-hmm.
I've recently rewatched Fleabag Season 2.
Yes.
Which he's in. And since then I've sort of followed him around and watched a few things that he's been in.
Mm-hmm.
I found on the internet a version of Hamlet that he did for the BBC about 4 years ago, and I think he's potentially the best actor I've ever seen.
Really?
So I put him.
I watched that when it was on live. It's absolutely magnificent. It's incredible.
And I love Hamlet with a passion, so that gets in points with me.
Yeah.
The next one is somebody who I think along those previous 2 he'd fit in well.
Yeah.
It's Russell Brand.
He's like, I wish I could hate him, but I find him utterly, utterly fascinating. Not that I wish I could hate him, but I just think he's a polarising person, but I find him extremely fascinating. I'd love to have a conversation.
Eloquent in a totally different way to Andrew Scott and Stephen Fry.
Yeah.
He's eloquent. Have you seen Clockwork Orange, or have you read Clockwork Orange?
I've read it and I've watched bits. I've never got the whole way through it. It's a bit too much for me.
That's understandable. The language that is spoken, especially, I've not seen the film, I've only read it. The language that they use and the way that, is it Alex, the main character?
Yeah.
The way that he speaks reminds me a lot of how Russell Brand speaks. It sounds oddly poetic, but it's absolute nonsense half the time.
Yeah. And it shows how strong language is. That just by him speaking in a funny way, you believe every word that comes out of his mouth. When some of the time it can be absolute bullshit. I found that really interesting.
He understands the capability of language as a series of sounds, so that he doesn't have to be saying anything of importance, but the way that he fluctuates his intonation and draws out his speech, and obviously just the speed at which he speaks, he does draw you in completely.
Yeah.
The last 2, I've already mentioned one of them is Alex Turner of the Arctic Monkeys and My Shadow Puppet. Purely because I I think after a few drinks with him, he'd be a lot of fun to get very drunk with.
Yeah, that's true.
And finally, to sing us out, the one person I would always want to listen to sing, as I'm done and I'm ready to go home, but I'd put this person's music on.
Yeah.
And it come on at the end of it's the end of a pub night music.
Mm-hmm.
Something like Shotgun or Paradise by George Ezra.
Yes, I love George. That's a really good choice. No one's gone for George Ezra. I like that one. That's one of my favourites.
Thank you. It's purely selfish. I'd purely ask him to sing.
Yeah, he's just there to have a sing. And to be fair, I bet he's proper personable as well. Like, I think he'd be okay with it and stuff. He'd be a lovely person to have involved.
He seems lovely.
That is a superb group. And I'll tell you what, Harry, I know, because this is my universe, and you have the most amazing night. You all get along so well. George is serenading you all night. Him and Alex do a duet. You and Alex do a duet. You're better than Alex. Don't tell anyone. And
amazing.
It gets to 12, and they've been so nice to you. They've been buying you drinks all night, and you go, right, this is it. This is enough. I'm getting you all around. But you're so drunk, you get to the bar and you forget what you've completely forgotten to ask them what they want. So you've got your 5 people. What drink would they have? What do you think their go-to drink is?
Well, how interesting. I think for Stephen Fry, I imagine Andrew Scott doesn't drink, you know.
Yeah.
He seems that sort of. He seems not tame, but he seems happy in himself.
Yes.
He doesn't feel the need to. Stephen Fry, maybe Indian, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Indian tonic, I think, for Stephen.
Mm-hmm.
For I completely forgot who I said. Who was third? Russell Brand. Nothing.
Yep.
I wouldn't buy anything. Alex Turner. I think a tequila.
Yeah.
But a sipping tequila. Does that exist? Sipping tequila?
No, it can for Alex. Alex can make it work.
In a tumbler sort of thing. Like it's a few sips. It's not a big drink, but it's a few sips. George Ezra, he's definitely a vodka and lemonade person.
Yeah, I agree. And for yourself, what are you going to grab yourself?
I think at that point, probably nothing as well.
Not a shot of absinthe?
No, never again. Never again.
Well, that concludes your brilliant pub evening, and unfortunately, this podcast. Harry, it has been absolutely lovely talking to you. I just bloody love talking about the pub. Sorry?
It's always a pleasure, I said.
Oh, thank you very much. And literally, we will go away from this and have another 3-hour conversation another day about the pub, because it's just never ending. And we'll record it and we'll make a podcast about it. That's what we'll do.
What an idea.
I've got 4 thank yous to do, if you don't mind waiting around, Harry, just very quickly. The first thank you is for Sam Nason for the graphics, which you can't see, but they're fab. I'll tell you that for nothing, Harry.
I'm sure they are.
The second, you've heard it, it's fantastic. The jingle by Jack Pethram, it's just absolutely funky as.
I'd offer that man a round of applause.
Number 3, thank you to everyone who's listening. That's my mum and my dad and everyone who's listening. And me and Harry will be listening to it as well. Thank you very much for listening, because it really helps us out. And keep listening to the rest of the series as well. And finally, a last big thank you to you, Harry. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. Keep safe in lockdown and enjoy your beer 52s and just have a great time if you can.
Thank you very much. You too.
No worries. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.